Zur is back, and once again he's out in the wild, and this week he's on Titan, and just like last week, he's appearable on the map, so it's not too hard to find him, so I'm not going to go into where he is. I'm just going to go through his inventory really quickly for you all. First of all, his weapon is the Wardcliff Coil. This is an exotic launcher, and I see a lot of people talking down on this weapon and saying it's not that good because they have like a misunderstanding of how it should be used. Generally exotic, or not exotics, but just launchers in general, like can deal massive single target damage, but this launcher is kind of the opposite, where it can deal massive like multi-target damage. Shoots a bunch of mini rockets that all deal their own damage, and they all kind of track if they're close enough to a target. So if you shoot this weapon into like a bunch of mobs, you can get like a lot of damage and you can actually kill a lot of the people. It's very good for public events. Think of the Glimmer drill public event where like there's a bunch of Fallen jumping off of their ships. If you can shoot it onto them, like you're probably going to kill pretty much all of them that jump out with the Wardcliff Coil. Same with the Cabal excavation event where you like the Cabal are dropping in. You could probably just shoot it at their balls and kill most of the Cabal that are dropping in. So it's very good for ad control mainly. It's not really a good boss weapon per se. It does do like a good amount of damage, but I think there are better launchers and better exotics that could be used for boss fights. This is mainly for ad control, and I think that's where a lot of people misunderstand it because they use it on a boss and they're like, oh, this isn't Galahorn, it's not like wrecking him, it's not good. But it is very good, and it does what it does very well. So I think this is definitely worth it. 29 shards is nothing for this weapon. Shards in general have very little value to me. As you can see, I have 982 already. It's not that hard to get shards in this game. So I definitely think you should pick up Wardcliff Coil. And it is arc. I haven't used it on an arc burn Nightfall, but it probably does a massive amount of damage. Even to a boss, if it's arc burn and you shoot it at him, it's probably going to do a massive amount of damage to him. So this is definitely a weapon you should pick up. Not only is it a good weapon, it's very good for public events and strikes. Not the raid so much and not PvP so much, but really anything where there's a lot of ads, this gun does well. So you should pick it up. 29 shards, nothing like I said. Next, for the hunters, we have the Foe Tracer helmet. This is a exotic that visually marks targeted enemies, deals more damage to low health marked enemies. I don't think highly of this helmet at all. Not only is the perk not that good, like the fact that it marks people when they're low and you could do more damage to them when they're low. I mean, I guess that could be good versus bosses, but versus bosses, you're probably going to want to have Celestial Nighthawk anyway, and that's going to do just a big, massive chunk of damage. So I just really don't see a point in this exotic. It's not necessarily a bad perk, it's just that there's better exotics out there for the hunter, I think, like the Celestial Nighthawk or the Orpheus rig for the Night Stalker. If you were going to play PvP, I think something like Knuckle-Headed Radar, or maybe there's another exotic. I'm not really familiar with all the hunter exotics, but this one seems more of a PvE boss fight type exotic, and for that I'd rather have Celestial Nighthawk if I was a hunter, or if I was playing with someone I would prefer them to have Celestial Nighthawk. So I don't think too highly of Foe Tracer, but once again, it's 23 shards, very cheap to get, so you might as well just pick it up if you're a hunter and you want to try it out. Next we have the ACDO Feedback Fence. This is a trash Titan exotic if you ask me. I have this exotic. It was actually the first exotic I got for my Titan, and I don't think highly of it at all. Its perk is that melee kills build up explosive energy within the ACDO feedback fence, and being struck by a melee attack unleashes this energy in a devastating explosion. So right off the bat, this is definitely a PvE exotic. For PvP, you're not going to be killing that many people with the melee, so you might get it to build up like once per game. I'm not really sure how many people you would have to kill with melee, but it's not that good, and there are better gauntlets if you wanted a melee build in PvP. So this is more of a PvE exotic, and I don't kill that many people with my melee and PvE, like maybe for public events or something, but for like as far as like the raid is concerned, this isn't something that you want to use because you don't want to get close to the enemies generally, because in the harder activities like the raid or the Nightfall, a lot of the enemies do massive melee damage, so you don't want to be within their melee range. And then finally, being struck by a melee unleashes this energy in a devastating attack explosion. The only time I could think of this being helpful is versus Thrall, and that's about it. And the Hive aren't really that big of a deal in this game. Maybe there will be a raid at some point where the Thrall is like a big deal in it, but as of right now, I don't really see much value in this. Once again, it's 23 shards, so if you really want to get it just to fuck around and try out, like there's no problem in doing that, because 23 shards has very little value to me. Finally, we have the Sun Bracers, a Warlock exotic gauntlet, and this increases the duration of solar grenades and grants energy on solar melee hits. I think this is more of a PvP exotic. Not only do I think the solar class is more suited for PvP than PvE in general, I don't play a Warlock, but two of my friends play a Warlock, and they both prefer to use either the Nova Bomb or the Arc subclass. for a Warlock for PvE, but for PvP, the Solar is a pretty good subclass. And then increasing the duration of those nades. Those nades are very good at like zone denial, and especially in the control game mode or the countdown game mode. If you want to zone people off by throwing a nade, you just have like that peace of mind that they can't push through it, or you're just denying them area. Maybe you're denying them a revive of a teammate, maybe you're denying them power ammo. There's a lot of things you could do by denying the enemies access to certain areas, and this Gauntlet is just going to extend the time that you do that, so that's very good. And then grenades grants grenade energy on solar melee hits. That's not the biggest deal. The main reason you would be using this is for the increased solar grenade duration, but maybe it actually does grant a lot of grenade energy. Like I said, I don't have experience with this. I see this as more of a PvP exotic, and I'm not that familiar with all the Warlock exotics, but this does seem like a good PvP exotic, and it does seem like it has a very like defined purpose. Like if you really like zoning people off with your grenades and you want them to last longer, pick up this exotic. Even if you just want to try it out, like I've said several times, it's 23 shards. Has very little value to me, and it probably has very little value to you. Most of my friends have well over 500 shards, I believe, and not all of them play as much as I do. So legendary shards aren't that like hard to get, so I would definitely just pick up everything if you want to try it out. Even if you don't think it has like a defined purpose and you just want to try it out, go ahead. 23 shards has very little value to me. So as far as a recap of this week, you should definitely pick up the Wardcliff coil. And then if you're a PvP Warlock and you like using the Solar class, this might be a good exotic for you. And then these two, the Hunter and the Titan exotics, aren't that good and they're more situational. But if you want to try them out, the cost of getting them isn't that difficult and you're not really going to miss 23 shards. That's going to be it for this video. Thank you for watching. Please like it if you enjoyed it and comment down below what you thought of this week's exotics. Are you disappointed in the Wardcliff coil, or are you someone who's really like breaking up ads with the Wardcliff coil? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you.